Hey guys! Today we'll be recapping the manhwa, rewriting my tragic ending. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, as it really helps our channel grow. Thanks. Norman thought about his fate. I wonder how long it has been since I fell into this bottomless abyss, doomed to wait for death. I only remember scant fragments of what came before. I've hated you from the moment we first met. The burning hatred of those who wished to see me dead, die, Norman. The desperate cries of my loved ones, Norman. And the fact that my soul was shattered somewhere in between. Trapped in this never-ending curse, die. Begone, Norman. Die. Norman added. I thought death would be the only escape. I don't want to die. Until her voice broke through and pulled me out of my sleep. It was then that I vowed that I would dedicate what remained of my life to protect and serve my savior. Norman told about his empire. The Imperial City. 500th anniversary of the founding of the Laten's Empire. After 10 agonizing years, the moment has finally arrived. Years and years of waiting, all for this day. Behold, people of Laten's. He added. My house stands tall and proud yet. Witness the return of Alicia Melfont. A temperate climate, fertile lands, a prosperous estate where every soul thrives. Ours is an illustrious bloodline that has produced countless renowned knights through the ages. My parents were the most prominent and respected aristocrats in the western reaches. And with a dependable brother and his wife, who was a ray of sunlight for us, our family was my pride and joy. And I should not forget to mention the new addition my father brought into the family one fine morning. She'll be living here with us from now on. Ophelia, a beautiful girl blessed with divine powers. I was overjoyed to have a new sister and friend to keep me company. Ophelia said. You look so good with that Teresia flower wreath, Alicia. It's like you were born to wear it. Norman continued his conversation. Life was perfect, and the goddess Mara seemed to be smiling upon us. I believed that our happiness would last forever. That is until the dark clouds of misfortune came to cast their shadow on us. Everything started with the arrival of that boy, Nix. I was suspicious of him from the start. There was something deeply unsettling in his gaze. Ophelia, however, treated him with nothing but kindness, and my objections did not stop her from bringing him into our home. That was the Holy Maiden's one and only mistake. Wherever Ophelia went, Nix would follow. Even though the signs were clear, I was too blinded by my dislike of him to realize that the object of his obsession was not Ophelia herself but her divine power. The young wanderer Nix turned out to be a corrupt priest who had fallen into the worship of Arpho, the Dark One. And Ophelia's divine power was the key to awakening this dark god from his slumber. Nix's purpose was to extract Ophelia's divine essence for the Dark One, and when he failed to do so, he unleashed the hellish powers of his god upon our estate instead. He added, Thousands were sacrificed in the ritual, including my family. Alicia, run! Everything I had ever cherished was taken away from me in the blink of an eye. On the other hand, Alicia thought about her life. When I awoke, I found myself in a vast and empty estate alone with my baby nephew, Alfred. That's Father's signet ring. That day, I made a vow. I promised myself to do whatever it would take to survive and bring back House Melfont from the ruins. And once I'd restored our name, she added, Alfred, my only surviving blood, would wear this ring and continue our legacy. As for Ophelia, the root cause of such tragedy, the one who had left her adopted sister to die alone. Well, I'll simply say that the fiery hatred and resentment I had for her shaped me into who I am today. Alicia thought. Coward. To accomplish my ambitions, I cast aside my pride as a highborn and entered the world of trade as a wine seller. And through my tireless work, I managed to restore House Melfont in just 10 years. Someone said about Alicia. Look at the size of the jewels she's wearing. It must have cost a fortune. Yes, a fortune that which amassed by selling wine. And she calls herself nobility? Ha! Alicia replied. My lords, do visit us at Rambak when you have the time. Our guild's jewelry is normally reserved for the imperial family, but I'll let you browse our goods free of charge, since I doubt you have the money to buy them. She said. Whisper behind my back all you like. Dignity of the nobility? Such things are not meant for me. After all, I am simply paving the way for my dear nephew Alfred until he can rule on his own. She thought. All these fireworks, what a waste of money. They should rethink how they use our taxes. An explosion. What's happening? There is no time to waste. I have to get out of this place. This feeling, it can't be. No! Nyx came and said. Alicia Melfont. It's been too long. He added. So you survived after all. You're a stubborn one, Alicia Melfont. Alicia said. Nyx. Curse you. I could say the same to you. I heard the clerics of the temple sealed you away the same day you slaughtered my people, but it seems you managed to sneak out like the little stalker you are. And here I thought your corpse was safely rotting away in a dungeon. Shame. Nyx replied. Ha! Still as sharp-tongued as ever, I see. Anyhow, where is she? Where are you hiding her? Alicia said. What are you talking about? Nyx replied. Ophelia. She's here, yes? Alicia said. Sick bastard. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, he had to bring up Ophelia. Great. I need to think of a way to stall him here. She added. Until the clerics arrive. Pathetic fool. You really don't know a thing, do you? Ophelia died that day. Nyx thought. Did it work? Lies. Alicia replied. No. Ophelia. To think my life would be in danger again because of you. She whispered. Damn you, Ophelia! A man said. Keep an eye on the wench and wait for Master Nyx's orders. Alicia said. Where am I? What will become of me now? I cannot die here. I have little Alfred to think of, and my wine business. She said to herself. Get up, Alicia Melfont. There are people waiting for you. Come to your senses. She thought. What's happening? Am I in a dream? I must have fainted. She saw a book and said. A book? So, a book floating on a pond, huh? What's next? Ophelia's Night. I can already tell that this isn't going to be a light-hearted story. Alicia started reading the book. The novel was titled Ophelia's Night, but strangely enough, it was the story of my life that I found within its pages. It's about me. With each turn of the page, the book revealed the terrible truth of what really happened that night, when Nyx unleashed death and decay upon the Melfont estate. She read more. Ophelia wasted no time and rushed to the rescue of little Alfred. She then headed straight to her sister Alicia, but by the time she reached her, the girl's lifeblood had already been harvested for the Dark One. Alicia whispered. The memory's still hazy, but it's coming back to me. That demonic hand got me, and for a few seconds there, I was dead. Ophelia poured most of her power into bringing Alicia back to life, and with the last vestiges of her divine essence, she sealed away the fallen priest Nyx. With the herald of the Dark One imprisoned, peace seemed to be within reach. 10 years later, however, Nyx's remaining followers devised a way to free their master from his chains, and the servant of Arfo was awakened from his long sleep. Once again, Nyx set out in search of Ophelia. Then, did Nyx come to the capital because he sensed Ophelia's divine power within me? That explains why he was asking me about her. If I can somehow harness her power, I could deal him a significant blow. Alicia said. But how do I do that? I should keep reading. There might be more clues in the book. It didn't take me long to realize that I was neglecting a very important fact. What's this? That title should not be overlooked because, undoubtedly, The protagonist of this story, Ophelia's Knight, was not Alicia but Ophelia. After shaking the Imperial forces off his trail, Nyx traveled to a distant corner of the realm and built for himself a fell citadel named Tantaros. He then sought to lure Ophelia into his lair by sending Alicia to her one piece at a time. And when Ophelia finally answered the grim invitation, "No, Nyx, stop it," Nyx replied. "I thank you, Alicia Melfont. It was your desperate grip on life that brought the holy maiden here today." Nyx slit Alicia's throat before her very eyes. Alicia said, "What's this supposed to mean? Am I fated to die here? I won't accept it. Ophelia gave me her divine essence. I can't be killed so easily. I should be able to heal any wounds if I put this power to use." The moment Nyx's blade slashed through Alicia's flesh, she added, "The divine essence that had been keeping her alive for 10 years returned to its owner, imbuing Ophelia with an even greater power in body, mind, and spirit." Armed with righteous might and anger, Ophelia sealed away the fallen priest for good this time, thwarting the return of Arpho, the Dark One. So ends the tale of Ophelia, favored of Mara and savior of mankind. She said, "What are you trying to tell me? You want me to die so Ophelia can have her happy ending?" Alicia said, "No, I won't accept this. This is just a bad dream that'll soon be over. I've got to wake up from this nightmare. Alfred is waiting for me. The people of House Melfont need me. Wake up already. Why can't I wake up? Isn't this supposed to be a dream? A stronghold built in a wasteland away from the scrutiny of Imperial forces. Help! Let us out. They're keeping prisoners here as sacrifices for the Dark God." She thought, "May Arpho's dark embrace guide your souls into the depths of hell. Nyx's twisted chants make it even worse. So this is Tantaros, Nyx's lair," she said. "I suppose his lackeys forged these chains as well. It's almost funny how everything is happening just like the book said it would. Wait a minute. Does that mean I'm going to die here? I can't give up yet. There has to be a way out. If what the book says is true, Ophelia's divine power is coursing through my veins even now. Once I can figure out how to put it to use, escaping this stronghold will be a piece of cake. Maybe I'll even get to wield this power to deal a blow to that bastard Nyx. He'll pay for what he's done to House Melfont," the man said. "Is this the wench's cell?" The other replied. "Yes," Alicia replied. Think. How did Ophelia summon her powers? Damn it! I need to do something before they take me. Help me, Ophelia," the man said. "Where's that sound coming from?" The other replied. "Arpho must have answered Master Nyx's prayers. At long last, the Lord of Hell shall walk this land," they said. "Let's take the girl to Master Nyx. We shouldn't keep him waiting." "Out, woman," Alicia replied. "Can't wait to see hell on earth, can you? Then I'll give you one." Incredible. So it's true. Her power was lying dormant within me all along. To the writer who wasted a pathetic amount of paper on Ophelia's Knight, you're mistaken if you think I'm going to quietly accept the ending you wrote. She added, "Just you wait, because no amount of ink or paper can save your book from the mayhem I'm about to unleash." That was a bit too effective. I went crashing through all the floors with just a single fall. For now, let's focus on getting out of here in one piece. Alfred is waiting for me. Think, Alicia, think, the man said. The wench. After her, Alicia said. I swear, this dress. What are those idiots doing there? Aha! My power must have formed a barrier to keep them away. Good. This morsel of cloth will be the only thing you'll get from me, a man said. Coward! Get out here! Alicia thought. Your power saved me again, Ophelia. But I won't be thanking you for it, she added. Well then, Let me ask you something, idiots. Why on earth would anyone want to be lackeys for Arfi? Or wait, was it Arfo? It's not like he's sharing his powers with you, right? A man said. Watch your tongue, wench. The Dark One shall judge you. Alicia thought. How did I pull that off, though? I activated the power without knowing how to do it. It pains me to admit, but the only way to get out of here is to use the information in the novel to my advantage. Things are playing out just like the book foretold, after all. She added. According to the novel, there is a spring at the end of this tunnel that serves as the prison of a paladin powerful enough to throw the world into disarray. Norman Diaz is his name. In the original plot, Ophelia uses the power she regained after my death to free the paladin from his watery confinement. I'm going to beat her to it, and use him to escape this place. Speaking of which, I don't see any pond or spring large enough to keep a grown man submerged. What was that? There it is. The spring of sealing, she said to herself. Though it looks more like a shallow pool than a spring. I should probably take a look. It's deeper than it looks, but the water still only reaches up to my ankles. Huh! No. Darn it. I should have known there would be a catch. It's him. Norman Diaz. Nix, that twisted pervert. I wonder if he kept Norman here for his looks. This is the first time I've laid my eyes on someone so unbelievably beautiful. He's still so young. It's as if time itself had been frozen the moment the curse was placed upon him. In that instant, my plans to use him were completely forgotten, and I found myself acting on pure instinct alone. Alicia thought. Anyway, I'll need to set him free first. I really need to work on my stamina. Can't save anyone if I'm gasping for air after a little swim. She added. I almost dumped you back in there, let me tell you. Wait, he's not dead, is he? He looks just like a sleeping princess under a spell. Or should I say prince? Sir Norman. My name is Alicia of House Melfont, and I am in dire need of your help. Please wake up. We can't stay here long. Listen here, princess. You need to wake up before that crazed demon worshipper finds me, Nix said. Alicia Melfont. For the love of... Where did you hide Ophelia? Alicia replied. What are you talking about? Did you forget? I already told you Ophelia's dead, Nix said. No, you're lying. I sense her power coursing through you still, Alicia replied. Sick bastard. He must have sensed Ophelia's power when I activated it to get down here, Nix said. Is that Norman Diaz? How did you manage to set him free? It wasn't you, was it? No. It was Ophelia. She must have come here to free Norman. Eat that, Alicia replied. That was the divine power you can't get enough of. After sealing you away that day, Ophelia used up her last remaining power to bring me back to life. I am now the bearer of her legacy, Nix replied. No. Impossible. No, Alicia said. That's it. Now you know how it feels. The same despair I had to go through, Nix replied. Evil, conniving WH*re. Ophelia's power is not meant for the likes of you, Alicia said. Too bad. You couldn't kill me even if you wanted to. Because, you see, that would mean saying goodbye to the precious power you're so smitten with, Nix replied. I don't believe you. Ophelia is the goddess's chosen one. She couldn't have died so easily. Liar. You deceived me, Alicia said. You're still saying that after tasting my divine power through that blow? Nix replied. Slay the human girl, and Ophelia shall return. You hear that? That's the voice of my god Arfo. All I need to do is end you, and everything will revert back to the way it was. You have no idea what that power can accomplish, he added. All that precious energy leaking out of you. It proves you're an unworthy vessel. Die, Alicia Melfont! Perish in fear and pain! Alicia replied. No. No. I didn't come all this way to die like this. I don't want to die. Not like this. Norman Diaz said. What's happening? You're safe now. She thought. Norman Diaz. Norman Diaz said. We should leave this place at once. Nix said. Why persist? Can't you see it's futile? You know it deep down, you're only walking into more suffering. Death will come no matter what you do, Alicia Melfont. Alicia replied. That's not true. And I won't wait for death to come and claim me. You're no more than a temporary vessel of Ophelia's divine power. Norman Diaz said. Is he speaking inside your mind? He's trying to weaken you by instilling fear into your soul. You have to resist him. Norman added. I know you're strong enough to do so. You're the hero who freed me from that seal, after all. You can survive this. Norman continued. Forgive my lack of courtesy, but we must hurry. I will get you out of here alive. I swear it. Nix in a mocking tone. May Arfo's dark embrace guide your souls into the depths of hell. Nicholas Diaz, second son of House Diaz, said. Ophelia! You're awake. How are you feeling? Ophelia replied. Nicholas, how long was I out for? How many days have passed since the festival? Nicholas Diaz said. It hasn't even been a day. Don't worry. Nix couldn't get his hands on what he came for. There is still time. He won't be killing Alicia just yet. Ophelia replied. I blacked out when I was needed the most. How pathetic of me. Tantaros said. I believe we've gathered enough leads to track him down. We'll locate his lair while you rest. Ophelia said. There's no time for that. We must leave now. Nicholas replied. But we don't know where exactly he's holed up. Tantaros. Do we know where that is? Tantaros replied. No, Captain. Can't say I've heard the name before. Ophelia said. I can't explain it, but the name and location of his citadel suddenly appeared in my mind. Nicholas Diaz thought. Ophelia's hunch is never wrong. If this Tantaros is indeed Nix's base of operation, that's where I'll likely come across more clues on Norman's whereabouts. And who knows, he might just be waiting for me. Norman Diaz said. We're flying. Am I in a dream? Alicia replied. I can't do that with you being so close. Norman Diaz said. Are you hurt anywhere? Alicia replied. I think I'm fine. Alicia thought. I was so focused on surviving that I completely forgot. I was attacked by Nix's unholy power. That monster ruined everything. Norman Diaz said. My lady. Alicia replied. It hurts. I can't breathe. Did I survive all those odds only to die in a place like this? Norman Diaz said. Please, pull yourself together. She's hyperventilating from the shock. I won't let you perish here. I promise. Norman added. I'm sorry if this seems inappropriate. Are you feeling better? Alicia said. Am I still alive? Norman Diaz replied. Yes. Alicia said. As alive as can be. The course of events changed. Nix failed to kill me. Norman Diaz replied. I was so afraid, but I made it out alive. I did it. Alicia said. So that's right, and you're safe now. All will be well. Norman added. You cannot defy death forever, Alicia Melfont. Alicia replied. Will I be able to break free of that tragic ending for good? Norman Diaz said. Please, rest your head on my shoulder for a bit. For now, sleep is what you need. Nicholas Diaz said. Meanwhile, the citadel of Tantaros. The whole place is in ruins. What do you think happened here? Ophelia said. Captain? We found the heretic priest. He lies crushed under the rubble. Send for the clerics of the temple. He must be sealed with all haste. Nicholas replied. Lead the way. We'll know for certain once Nyx is safely sealed away. Ophelia thought. I can't put my finger on it, but something has changed. Normandeus said. The view hasn't changed at all. Now I'm the head of my house. Being the only survivor didn't leave me much of a choice. Even though the world was shaken to the core while I was asleep. I can't even imagine how they must have suffered. The boy shouted. Norman! No! Normandeus thought. I am to blame for all that's happened. Normandeus said. Normandeus Zoe. That's my name. Iago thought. That name. Zoe. A God-given name shared only within the family. It is the name I revealed to a fellow paladin, a comrade and a dear friend who faced countless perils with me. Normandeus said. I'm telling you this because I consider you a brother, Iago. To me, your family. And yet, even though we had been fighting together as heroes of the Empire. He added. Why, Iago? Iago replied. Come now, O death! Shatter and scatter the soul of mine enemy Normandeus Zoe! Normandeus said. I was blind to the hatred concealed deep within his heart. Using our secret, Iago cast an ancient curse that required the true and last name of the victim. Normandeus pleaded. Don't do this, Iago. Curses always exact a heavy price on the caster. Iago replied. I hated you from the moment we first met. Everything will be perfect without you, Norman. Just surrender, and die as you should. The boy said. No! Get off me! Norman! Normandeus thought. Had Nicholas not awakened his divine power to weaken the curse, my flesh would have been reduced to dust along with my already shattered soul. The boy replied. Die! Begone, Norman! Die! Cast into the fathomless darkness of the curse. He thought of Iago's words. I hated you from the moment we first met. The boy shouted. Don't leave me, Norman! Iago replied. Everything will be perfect without you. Norman said. All I could do was helplessly wait for the end. I don't want to die. Until her voice reached out to me. Not like this. Normandeus said. She's burning up. I shouldn't be relying too much on this power, but there's no other choice. He added. She's in shock, both body and mind. It's to be expected given everything she's been through. She pulled me out of that lake with all these wounds on her, and I'm not exactly on the lighter side either. Is it fear of death that gave her the strength to go on? Or should I say, her will to live? Such a strong desire to survive. Now I wonder what kind of person she is. Perhaps I can learn more about her once she wakes up. I can't remember the last time I was this excited to see what tomorrow has in store. Alicia said. All of this was possible thanks to Alicia's sacrifice. My arms are still here. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. That darn book. She added. A bed? I remember escaping Tantaros, but the rest is all fuzzy. I can't remember anything else. Where am I? What is this place? Normandeus said. I'm back. Alicia replied. Who are you? Don't think you can fool me. Tell me who you really are. He replied. I'm just an old man. Normandeus said. Calm down, my lady. These people have been kind enough to let us stay here free of charge. She thought. That sounds even more suspicious. Why would they do that when they have nothing to gain? Old man replied. Your clothes were in tatters. We could tell right away you didn't have any money on you. Alicia said. I don't know what you're talking about. people said. Granny's dressing gown. Matching earring lost. The signet ring she mustn't sell. Barefoot Alicia's belongings penniless. She thought. My silk dress and jewels. Norman Deus replied. My apologies. It's quite all right. Thank you for being so understanding. She's been through a lot and isn't her usual polite self. People said. What a kind-hearted young man you are. Norman Deus added. That must have been quite a shock for you. You woke up sooner than I thought. I should have returned earlier and explained. In any case, I'm glad to see you back on your feet. Alicia replied. The wounds are all gone. How did I recover so quickly? It's your divine power, isn't it? Norman Deus replied. You must be hungry. I went foraging in the forest nearby since we had no money to buy provisions. Here. It's safe to eat. Alicia said. Sir Norman? Norman Deus replied. Yes, my lady? Alicia said. Who put me in this gown while I was asleep? Norman Deus replied. The old lady, of course. Your dress was all wet and muddy. Alicia said. Oh, I see. Also, how much time has passed since we escaped? Where are we exactly? I really need to know. What became of Nyx after Tantaros fell? Norman Deus replied. Nyx? Alicia replied. Yes, the scrawny priest who battled you. Nyx is his name. I'd like a short but detailed account of what happened. Norman Deus said. Well, Nyx took the full brunt of a blow suffused with divine power. He'll probably remain paralyzed for at least a couple of weeks, or even a month, if not longer. He added. Such a shame I couldn't finish him off while I had the chance. Being sealed for so long drained much of my powers. He continued. You fell asleep and didn't wake up for 2 days after we escaped the citadel. Alicia thought. Fell asleep. I thought I had passed out. Norman Deus replied. I carried you through the forest until we stumbled upon this village. I believe they call this place Thule. She thought. Thule? That's a frontier village located between the Imperial City and the eastern reaches. Norman Deus said. I see you know your maps. That's really not far from the Ramdak Guild headquarters. I should be able to find my way back quite easily. Norman Deus said. By the way, my lady, I've been meaning to ask. Alicia replied. Go on. Norman Deus said. How did you know it was me in that lake? Norman Deus said. I feel so lost. You're my rescuer, but I haven't the slightest idea who you are or why you had to free me from that spring. Alicia thought. I can't just say I read about him in a dream. That'll just sound absurd. I only heard that the firstborn son of House Diaz had gone missing a long time ago. And when I found you sealed under that spring in Tantaros. She added. I just had this gut feeling that you were him. Norman Deus replied. Then do you happen to know the reason why Nyx abducted you and had me sealed away? Alicia said. He aims to become the disciple of Arpho, the Dark One. Thousands of years ago, Arpho unleashed the 7 mortal sins upon the world, and humans began slaughtering one another with their newfound blasphemous powers. Seeing her beloved children on the brink of extinction, Mera, the goddess of life and maker of the world who breathed her divine essence into humans, smote the evil one and sealed him away. The goddess then bound and contained Arpho's fell curses within the pages of a secret tome to banish them from the memories of her children. Humans took the tome deep into a temple to keep it hidden there till the end of time. She added. However, Nyx, a priest blessed with strong divine powers, was able to approach the forbidden tome with relative ease. Be free in hatred. Curse your enemies. That is the only path that leads to true liberation. Arpho's cursed magic and the control it gave over others was a temptation too sweet to resist for Nyx, a mere cleric who aspired for divinity. Alicia said. After defeating Norman, Nyx had the paladin sealed away in his lair as a trophy to commemorate his first deed as Arfo's new servant. I like to think of myself as someone who values honesty, but even I can't say to his face that he was a demon's living trophy. Using his divine powers, Nyx sealed you and your curse away and came to the Melfont estate. She added, "This isn't a white lie. He was still a cleric of Mara up to that point. This is an untold backstory that I know because I read the novel. It wasn't until he sacrificed the people of the Melfont estate that he was granted the full power of darkness. A disturbing tale I never wanted to learn about," Alicia said. Nyx was defeated by Ophelia in the end, but his followers brought him back. And the very first thing he did after waking up was abduct me and bring me to his lair. Norman Deus replied. "I'm sorry for your loss," Alicia said. "It was all in the past. Did that help you make more sense of things?" Norman Deus replied. "Yes. Thank you. So much happened during the past 10 years. The master of the house told me that this year marks the 500th anniversary of the founding of the Lothens Empire." He added, "Nicholas must be a grown man by now. I feel bad for making him worry for all these years. Nicholas is my dearest little brother," Alicia replied. "Nicholas Diaz. I saw him at some soirees," Norman Deus said. "So you've met him before? How is he doing?" Alicia replied. "He's doing well for himself. Why wouldn't he be? He's courting Ophelia. Very much so. You'll be surprised to see what an arrogant prick he's become. To see just how much he's grown," Norman Deus said. "I can't wait. I'm so relieved to hear that," Alicia said. "Sure. I'm happy for you," Norman Deus replied. "By the way, my lady, I don't think I've asked for your name yet," Alicia said. "Oh. Allow me to properly introduce myself, then. I am Alicia, head of House Melfont and leader of the Ramdak Traders Guild. A letter for you, Miss Melfont Estate," Erica, Alicia's secretary, said. "On behalf of the Paladins, I provide the Lords of the Realm with the latest developments concerning the cult responsible for spreading unrest in Lothens of late. During our expedition to the western borders of the realm, we were able to locate Tantaros, the lair of the heresiarch, Nyx. Inside, we discovered that the heretics had been slaughtering abducted citizens as sacrifices for Arfo, the Dark One. Tantaros was already in ruins due to a mysterious attack by the time we arrived, and the clerics of the temple promptly took the incapacitated Nyx into custody to seal him away once again. Unfortunately, the whereabouts of the lady abducted during the festival still remain unknown. Some of Nyx's followers have managed to evade capture, so we advise you to avoid any contact with proselytizers of dubious religious beliefs," Erica said. Signed, Nicholas Diaz, representative of the Paladins, Maid replied. "What should we make of this?" Erica said. "Well, now we know Lady Alicia wasn't in the Citadel when it collapsed. Then, either she had been killed and disposed of before the Paladins arrived, or she managed to escape with her life," Norman Deus said. "Let me go get you something warm to drink," Alicia thought. The novel doesn't go into much detail about him. I had no idea that he could be so, Norman Deus replied. "You have to resist him. I know you're strong enough to do so. You're the hero who freed me from that seal. After all, I will get you out of here alive." "I swear it," Alicia said. Sweet. The novel, the first day, I was abducted from the festival grounds and thrown into that dungeon cell in Tantaros, and for the next 2 days I was out cold, which means 3 days have passed since I left the Melfont estate. I used what little time I had to defy the book's plot and ensure my survival. But I still don't know whether this'll be enough to change my ultimate tragic ending. But one thing's for certain, the longer I delay my return, the closer my nephew comes to danger. Cousin Gail will definitely try to replace me as the conservator of little Alfred's assets," she added. "He's had his eye on the Melfont fortune since before Alfred's parents were killed. Not to mention that imbecile fiancé of mine, Philip Morfolk. I know he's waiting for the opportunity to get his hands on our money and elope with the girl he's betting. Without me, Alfred will be left at the mercy of predators, the same way I was alone against the greedy nobles who showed their true colors when our house fell," Alicia said. "You're mistaken if you think I'll let you have your way. First, I'll need to go to Catham, the closest city from here. That's where the Ramdak Guild operates, and the money to cover the journey. There it is, but I can't afford to travel alone in this state, Alicia added. Excuse me, do you happen to know where I can find mercenaries for hire without paying in advance? People asked. What about your husband? Alicia replied. Husband? Speak of the devil, Normandeus said. You must be famished, my love. I had 3 pastries just now. Wait, what did you call me? Just get in the room, to be young and in love. I humbly beg your pardon, my lady, Alicia replied. Yes, well, definitely more convenient than having to explain why we're traveling together. But I am a public figure, Sir Norman. This might start unnecessary gossip should we come across others who recognize me. Best we tell these people the truth since we'll be going our separate ways, Norman replied. We won't be going separate ways, my lady, Alicia added. What? Normandeus replied. Please, allow me to escort you to your estate at the very least. Having him watch my back would certainly put my mind at ease. But I can't afford to focus on personal safety at the moment. Getting the estate back under control is the top priority, and I need to do it fast. Norman, however, might prove an obstacle to that goal. The return of the firstborn son of House Diaz will invite public scrutiny, and scrutiny always entails accusation. On top of that, his handsome looks alone are enough to draw a crowd, and that's another complication I don't need. But really, it's his very existence that makes me uneasy. To me, he's the living reminder that the curse of the book is real, Alicia replied. You're making me uncomfortable, Normandeus said. Let's drop the husband and wife act then. I'll be more careful in the future. I swear it upon my honor. Yes, that's part of the problem, but, Alicia replied. No, you don't understand, Sir Norman, she added. For the last 10 years, I have been restoring House Melfont by doing the work of a lowly merchant. Our power no longer comes from lineage, but from trade and profit. We chose survival over the dignity of the aristocracy. They'll welcome back with open arms, Alicia thought. But it's a different story for me. Seeing you return in the company of the Witch of Melfont, she said, will only give them more cause to hunt me down. Normandeus said, I understand. I admit I haven't been able to catch up with how much the world has changed over the last 10 years, Alicia replied. He sounds hurt, Normandeus said. Let me go over what you just said. You need to go back to the Melfont estate swiftly because there are those who seek to take its fortune for themselves. But going out there with me is likely to draw unwanted attention and delay your return. You're also concerned about the rumors it might start, Alicia replied. Correct, Normandeus said. Then allow me to convince you of the advantages instead. May I? Alicia replied. Sure, Normandeus said. Excellent. Now I am the perfect bodyguard for you because you won't find anyone as strong and athletic as me. I was in top form in terms of fitness when I was sealed in that spring 10 years ago, and for some reason, that hasn't changed at all, Alicia replied. Is he bragging or what? Normandeus said. My physical prowess is far superior compared to other men your age. Even the best mercenary money can buy has nothing on me. I knew you'd agree. Your silence says it all, he added. Secondly, I am experienced in both direct combat and delicate operations that require subterfuge. All I need is a simple hood. That's how I blend in. Nobody gave me a second glance when I was shopping for groceries at the local market square. I can also handle any emergencies that may arise and quickly put you out of harm's way. Some missions require disguise and acting skills. A loving husband, for example, Alicia replied. Enough already, I get it. All right. Let's assume you're as good as you claim to be, Normandeus said. Oh, but I wasn't making any claims. I was only stating the fact. Interesting choice of word, my lady, Alicia replied. Try to put yourself in my shoes and think about how you sound, Normandeus said. Oh, was I not persuasive enough? Alicia replied. You were. But I can't help but wonder why you're so eager to travel with me, Normandeus said. I am a paladin of the Lothen's empire. I am duty-bound to protect the children of the goddess, Alicia replied. If doing Mara's work is what you want, you can always go to the slums, Normandeus said. You forget, my lady, that I owe you my life, Alicia replied. Yes, well, I did pull you out of that spring. But anyone could have done that, Normandeus said. It's more than that. You saved my soul, Alicia replied. What? Normandeus said. My body was indeed confined within the spring of sealing, but my soul was drowning deeper and deeper into the abyss beyond the physical plane, Alicia said. The abyss? Normandeus replied. I owe you not only my life but my soul as well. It's a personal wish of mine to escort you to the Melfont estate and see you return to your rightful place. Norman Deus added. So please, give me a chance to repay your kindness, Alicia said. Very well. I suppose I can give you a chance, Norman Deus replied. My lady, Alicia said. Let's seal it on paper then. A bodyguard contract, Norman Deus replied. Contract, Alicia added. Yes. Your point about the benefits of traveling together is valid, but there are still some potential risks that warrant discussion. It's written contracts that prevent parties from acting in bad faith, not smiles and handshakes. Let's play it safe for both our sakes, she added. You disagree? Norman Deus replied. Apologies. It's just the way you phrased it, Alicia said. I fail to see what's so amusing, Norman Deus replied. It's a rare thing to see one so well versed in the ways of the world. The best possible flattery for Alicia. Shall I draft the contract then? Norman Deus said. Of course not, my lady. We do it together, with the interests of both parties laid out, he added. Thank you for your hospitality. We'll make sure to return the favor when the time is right, old man said. Safe journey, his wife replied. This brings back memories. You were never that handsome when you were young. This contract is made and entered into between Alicia Melfont, Party A, and Norman Deus. Norman Deus said. Try to relax a little more, my lady. We'll draw needless attention at this rate. Upon arrival at the Melfont estate, Party A shall compensate Party B within 30 days for services provided. The sum shall be calculated based on the number of days worked, and we should be holding hands like real spouses. Party A shall assume disguises whenever Party B deems it necessary, Alicia replied. Am I supposed to help you cover your face too? Party B shall mask his face and body in outdoor settings, Norman Deus said. Phew. Now I'm glad I agreed to sign the contract. Upon his honor as a paladin of Mera, Party B shall protect Party A with his life, Alicia replied. You worry too much. That was just a local passing through, she added. Oh, looks like we're here. Thule Market Square, on the road to Catham, a man said. You want to sell this trinket? 1 gold is probably the best I can do, Alicia replied. The gemstone adorning that earring was purchased by the Ramdak Guild and polished by the best gem cutter in the Imperial City. And you're offering 1 gold for it? A man said. You're with Ramdak? Alicia replied. If that's really your best offer, then I'll take it. But consider this your last transaction with us, because Ramdak won't be supplying its goods to this establishment in the future, the man said. So, what's it going to be? In that case, I'll have to go above the market rate, just for you, Alicia thought. I became a merchant and learned the tricks of my trade solely for the restoration of House Melfont and its people, peasants who had no choice but to come back to the forsaken ruins they once called home. Erica said. Lady Alicia. Oh, look at you. You must have been through so much, Alicia thought. Despairing servants who managed to escape death only by pure luck. All of those lives rested on my shoulders, Alicia replied. Hello, I come on behalf of the Ramdak Guild. I was this frail and sickly daughter of a noble family, who could do little else but ride around the estate within the safety of a carriage. A wide-eyed little girl in an unforgiving world. Never heard of the name, to be honest. Is this wine even safe to drink? A boy said. We'll consider buying some if you can finish a bottle right here, Alicia thought. Ramdak? They say it's a new trading guild formed by some noble lady. What a joke. But I had no time to bemoan my fate, for my enemies were poverty and starvation. Erica said. Are you all right, my lady? Alicia replied. I did it, Erica said. They agreed to buy our goods, Alicia thought. Honor? Dignity? Only after casting that nonsense aside was I able to ensure the survival of my people. Norman Deus said. You look deep in thought. Is something the matter? The man replied. I'm hoping the proprietor is a blabbermouth. Is there anything else I can help you with? Alicia said. If rumors about me are going to spread no matter what, I'd prefer them to be in my favor. Spread the word that Alicia Melfont is headed to Catham, she added. Tell them Ramdak's guild master is back. Phew. What a long day, Norman Deus said. We don't have enough money to afford a place to stay, Alicia said. We could try getting lodgings on credit, but as the leader of Ramdak, I cannot let my private actions hurt the reputation of the guild. We'll have to camp out in the open until we reach Catham. My guild members will help once we get there. Besides, I'd prefer to use my money where I know I can get quality service instead of throwing it away on crummy places. Norman Deus replied. Trade hubs like Catham tend to attract criminals. We should send a courier to your knights so they know when to expect you, Alicia replied. House Melfont no longer commands any knights. Our chivalric tradition ended on that fateful night 10 years ago. Our knights were decimated, and nobody wanted to swear fealty to a fallen noble house in a blighted land, Norman Deus said. Oh, Alicia replied, it's okay. We managed to rise from the ashes even without our knights, Norman Deus said, thanks to Ramdak, no doubt. Tell them Ramdak's guild master is back, Alicia replied, so embarrassing. Indeed. The guild is the milk and honey of House Melfont now, Norman Deus said. How did you start off as a merchant? Alicia replied. With lotus flowers, Norman Deus said. Lotus, Alicia replied. The blight spreading through our lands had ruined our harvests and killed our craftsmen. Lotus leaves are excellent for making tea, and the stalks can be sold as fuel. However, peddling tea and fuel was far from enough to bring our house back on its feet, and so we found a more profitable use of those flowers. Lotus wine, she added, a unique drink that can only be brewed by House Melfont. That's how we became the first noble house in history to form a trading guild, and through our aggressive business practices, we amassed a fortune beyond imagination. Then we reinvested the gold in other ventures to make even more profit. Land, property, jewels, sells words and privateers to protect our people and our fleet of merchant vessels, Alicia said. To the public, I'm a heartless, money-hungry witch. People whisper behind my back at every party I attend. You could say I traded away my honor and reputation in return for money, Norman Deus replied. That explains why she's so experienced in worldly matters at such a young age, and sensitive when it comes to rumors. The way I see it, chasing profit to keep the people well is far more honorable than upholding the pride of the nobility without doing anything for those in need, Alicia said. I stopped caring about honor and dignity a long time ago. That vile harpy, people said, isn't that Ramdak's guild master? The wench who got killed at the festival. Well, she seems to be alive and kicking. What's she doing here? They added. I could recognize those purple eyes a mile off. She's using that guild of hers to get her claws into Catham. A real nuisance. Aren't highborns supposed to be holed up in their estates, reading books and drinking tea? She's got no business robbing us of our livelihoods, Alicia replied. Well, they're not wrong. I've always been prepared to face this sort of insult. I'm a contender in the eyes of other merchants, and a pariah to the nobility, men added. Doesn't matter what she is. The goddess frowns on her. Yeah, I've heard the story about the Melfonts. I bet there are dozens of ghosts haunting her. The wench should have died with her family that day, Alicia replied. Ignore them, Sir Norman. I'm used to people talking behind my back. It's all right, Norman Deus replied. No, it's not, Alicia said. Sir Norman? A man said. It's not all right at all, Norman Deus replied. Not one bit, Alicia thought. They can't even put up a proper fight. All bark and no bite, these people. But a tavern brawl, huh? Darn it, this could get us in trouble, she said. Enough. You're going to kill the man at this rate, Alicia added. I told you I'm all right, Norman Deus replied. But you're not. You're not all right at all, she replied. Come. We're leaving, Norman Deus said. These scums will learn not to run their mouth, she replied. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, you stubborn imbecile, people said. You. That's my friend you're roughing up, Alicia said. Come with me now, or I'm leaving you here, people shouted. They're getting away. After them, Norman Deus said. You're gasping for breath, my lady. Are you sure you're all right? Alicia thought. I already told him I'm fine. Why is he throwing such a fuss about it? This is a breach of contract. I'm going to cut this from his pay for the day. And that's not even close to the damage he's done, Norman Deus said. Please, my lady, slow down. You'll end up making yourself sick, Alicia replied. I'm tired of your constant fussing, she said. There, I said it. Are you going to take a swing at me too? Norman Deus replied. Of course not. Why would I do such a thing, she said. Well, the noble scion of House Deus has made it clear that he can't stand rude language. What's stopping you from giving me a whack across the face? Norman Deus replied. I'm sorry if my behavior back at the tavern offended you. But as a paladin, I couldn't let them get away with their discourtesy, she said. And where's the point in that? Those lowlifes weren't wrong. Alicia Melfont is a shame to the nobility. A wine-selling wench who threw away her dignity for money, Norman Deus replied. I can't go along with the awful things they said to you, the same way I refuse to believe the dark words that the curse whispered into my ears, he added. Every moment I had to spend in that spring was filled with voices that called for my death. I thought ignoring them would make things all right. But no, people said, the wench should have died with her family that day. Everything will be perfect without you, Norman. Die. Die, Alicia thought, my own self. You're a formidable person, my lady, Norman Deus replied, unlike me. But no matter how strong you are, the wounds inflicted by the words of others won't simply disappear on their own. Don't let them do this to you, she said. Very well. I will try to stop putting myself down going forward, so you should make an effort to keep your temper in check as well. Promise? He replied. Promise, she said. Anyhow, since those thugs might come after us, I suggest we travel through the woods until we reach Catham. Damn it. Camping outside again, Norman Deus replied. The sky is full of stars tonight, my lady. And you'll see this beautiful night sky again in the safety of your estate, Norman Deus said. Lady Alicia, Alicia replied. Nothing escapes your keen senses, I see. Constant vigilance, is it? I was jesting, Norman Deus replied. I think you're way more prepared for the journey than I am, my lady, she said. Oh, you flatter me. In any case, we'll no longer be wearing down the soles of our boots, Norman Deus replied. Romdak banners. I didn't expect we'd run into your guild members so soon. Heaven itself must be watching over you, Alicia said. Heaven aids no one, Sir Norman. Not me, at least. Besides, I turned down the help anyway, she added. I am the only one who can help me. Stop the carriage, Stan. I know you can hear me, a man said. That's Madam Stan to you, woman. You are in the way of Romdak's acting guild master, she replied. Wait, Stan, acting guild master of Romdak Traders Guild said. I thought we truly lost you this time. Can't you see I'm sitting right here? Oh, my poor Lady Alicia. Have you been eating properly, child? You're all skin and bones, Alicia replied. I've been stuffing myself full with pastries. Norman Deus thought. She seems like a good person, Stan said. What's that sparkle? I must say, my lady. Drop that weasel Philip Morfuck and go for this one instead, Alicia replied. Stan! Please! And it's more fork, Alicia thought. Come to think of it, I have no further need for a bodyguard now that Stan and Romdak's guards are here, Stan said. Good, good. He's got all the bits I like to see on a man, Alicia said. Traveling with him would only invite unnecessary trouble, Stan replied. Sir Norman? We'll ready a horse or a carriage for you to ensure your swift return to your family, Norman Deus said. My lady, Alicia replied. This seems to be a good time to terminate our contract, Norman Deus replied. I won't cave in, damn it, she said. Giving me the puppy eyes won't work. Your pay will be handled per the terms of the contract. Short a day's worth, though, on account of that tavern brawl. The horse and the carriage will be provided free of charge. Let us say our farewells where the road splits, Norman Deus said. I wish I could just ignore him. I am so very afraid, my lady. The world has changed too much over the last 10 years. I have become a stranger here. Will I be able to find my way home on my own? Stan said. Oh, you sweet, poor thing, Alicia replied. You decided that the moment you laid your eyes on him, didn't you? Stan said. Not to worry. You can always come with us, Alicia replied. Stan, please, Norman Deus said. May I, Lady Alicia? She replied. I can't refuse him outright, without making myself look bad here, he said. Very well. But you won't be coming with us to the Melfont estate. Do I make myself clear? Norman Deus said. Yes, my lady, she replied. Remember, Sir Norman. We part ways in Catham, a boy said. We found her ladyship. She's at an inn now, with Madame Stan's entourage, Erica replied. Ah, yes. We did not find her, though she found us. That's her ladyship's way of doing things, boy said. Perhaps we should escort her back here, where it's safer, Erica replied. Out of the question. Lady Alicia has no patience for inefficiencies. Best leave this to Madame Stan. She's trustworthy and capable. Besides, Lady Alicia knows Catham like the back of her hand. Gunna, the Romdak Traders Guide Corps representative said. So that's where Alicia is right now, Erica replied. I said no one is to disturb, he said. You should have come to me the moment she was found, Erica replied. What makes you think I'm obligated to do that? And I must remind you to refer to her ladyship with the respect she deserves. She's your employer, not your friend, Gano said. Alicia will be the judge of that, not you. Your hushed little chat behind closed doors got me thinking I should go check on my dear employer's well-being. After all, she's the only one who can free me from this slavery contract, she said. Slavery contract, you say? He replied. I'm not here to argue semantics with you, Erica, she said. Then show yourself out, and don't do anything reckless. Lady Alicia is the guild master of Rambach. She will come home in the company of her loyal guild members, Norman Deus said. Lady Alicia, Stan added, I can't wait to see how gorgeous you'd look in this, sir. Not to worry, more are coming. We'll scour every boutique in Catham if we have to, Alicia said. What's going on here? Stan replied. Perfect timing. He looks great no matter what he puts on. He's an angel sent from the heavens, yes he is, Norman Deus said. Lady Alicia, help, she replied. Don't let his appearance fool you, Stan. This man was once the Knight Commander of the Paladins. He's not the kind of person you can casually invite to a dress-up, Norman Deus added. What's wrong with my looks? Stan replied. He could have had everything he wanted with these looks, yet he had to spend the past decade away from civilization. It's only fair that he gets to experience what he's been missing out on all these years, Alicia said. I think you have too much time on your hands, Stan replied. That I do. We can finally get a moment to catch our breath now that you've returned to us, Alicia said. Times like this, leaders need to make it clear who's in charge. I have an important contract to discuss with Sir Norman on behalf of the guild. And I expect no interruptions. Not even from you, Stan, Stan replied. Of course, your ladyship. Please send for me should you need my assistance, Norman Deus said. Superbly handled, my lady, Alicia added. Oh, but I didn't lie to her. You and I have a contract to discuss. Let's see. You will be provided with transportation, some measure of cash, and food to last you through the journey to your family estate. You leave in a week. I have added these terms to the contract. Would you like to take a look at the changes? She said. Sir Norman? Norman Deus replied. Those people out there seem to be having fun. The streets are still crowded even at this hour, she said. They're celebrating the founding of the empire. It's been going on for a month now. People carouse late into the night, Norman replied. I see. They all look so happy, she said. It's an annual festival, though. He should be familiar with it. Or maybe he's just rediscovering the world after a decade of confinement. Our guards can show you around if you're interested, he replied. Really? She said. Yes, but you must cover your face. The message of your survival has already been sent to your family. I have the responsibility to see you return unharmed, Norman Deus said. I'll make sure to stay out of trouble. By the way, are you not coming with me? She replied. There's a mountain of work waiting for me, I'm afraid, he said. Then I have no choice but to remind you of the terms of our agreement. That was a low blow. The contract remains valid for another week even with the amendments you've added. And as your bodyguard, my duty is to be at your side for the duration of the contract, he added. I am unable to move freely without your company, my lady, Alicia said. He guilt-tripped me into coming with him, Norman Deus replied. Violet suits you really well, a man said. My lord, my savior. I come now to collect this tainted soul and see your will done. May Arfo's dark embrace guide your souls into the depths of hell, Norman said. So many people. Please take my hand. I don't like getting fussed over, a guy said. Come with me, Alicia Melfont. To the depths of hell, Gano said. Quiet, or I'll slit your throat. Who's that bastard? He added. I can't even tail them because of this old fart. Damn it, a few hours prior, he asked. What are you doing here? Ophelia replied. Do as I say if you want Alicia safely back at the estate, he replied. Who do you think you're talking to? You're a wanted fugitive. Give me one reason why I shouldn't throw you into the prison, she said. That wasn't a request, she added, but a warning. Should something happen to Alicia because of your meddling, I will kill you myself, Gano said. Now, answer my questions honestly and I might just let you go. Was it Nyx who sent you? How many of you are here to kill Alicia? So be it then, Norman Deus said. Oh, Alicia replied. Teresia petals. Some fortune tellers use them for divination. This is my first time seeing one. They're wild flowers. You don't usually find them in gardens. Their unique color and shape are mesmerizing, but plucked and put in a vase, they don't even last a day. Norman asked. You seem to know a great deal about these flowers, she replied. used to be my favorite, she added. Ophelia had a particular fondness for Teresias. There was a time when we shared many a laugh together in a field full of those beautiful flowers. She was the purest soul I'd ever met. Teresia flowers are my favorite. They remind me of you, Alicia. And that remains true even now. They say Ophelia is the one who took Nyx in, the holy maiden and a fallen priest, huh? Figures. They must be in cahoots. What I think of her, however, is irrelevant. The shadow of suspicion will always linger wherever she goes, Erica said. The Emperor has decided to order Lady Ophelia's capture, Alicia replied. What if I do it first? Erica answered. As the victim, your ladyship has the right. The Emperor will allow it. You're amazing, Alicia. How did you manage to keep them fresh in a vase? Alicia said. Oh, but don't tell me how you did it. Keep it a secret so I can stay with you and admire them forever. Put a bounty on Ophelia. She is to be captured on sight, she added. As an imperial citizen and the head of House Melfont, I had to perform my duty no matter how grim it was. And transferred to the Melfont dungeon. That's how our charming time together came to its bitter end, Ophelia said. Perhaps you're chosen by the goddess. Even these delicate flowers thrive with life in your caring hands, Alicia said. What a load of horseshit. Norman Deus replied. Pardon? She said again. It's nothing. How about a little fortune-telling session? Just for fun, Norman asked. Can I do that? She said. Of course, Norman said. Hello, Mississippi, may I ask for a reading? She said. Watch out, people observed. Silver hair. Could he be the firstborn son of House Diaz who went missing? Alicia said. Darn it. Run, someone said. Silver hair and golden eyes. That's Norman Diaz for sure. What's he doing in this town? I heard he went missing years ago. That's one less cultist to worry about, Gano said. It'll probably be faster to have those bastards from Romdak look for Alicia. He thought, who's that woman Sir Norman was with? The lady with the purple eyes? He added. Purple eyes? You were here just now, weren't you, Alicia? Care to repeat? I really need to know where the lady's headed, Alicia replied. I don't like getting fussed over, Norman Deus said. I'm terribly sorry. None of this would have happened had we stayed in, she replied. I can't believe you took the flowers. How's that girl supposed to earn her keep without them? This will start another rumor, she added. A poor fortune teller had her tools of trade stolen by Sir Norman Diaz. Did I laugh too loud? Oh, come on. I was jesting. I'll see that the girl is amply compensated, Norman Deus replied. I hope you're not upset with me, she said. People are going to talk, but what's done is done. Besides, I needed the exercise. I haven't run like that in a while. I was a sickly little girl who was always kept indoors, so a friend of mine would usually talk to my parents to take me outside for some flower picking, she again said. We used to have so much fun together running across the hills and enjoying the breeze, she added. Ironically, my health is much better now, but I am no longer free to run like that. A lady has appearances to keep up, after all, Norman Deus said. I should have been more careful. We could have had a few more runs if we hadn't been caught. We didn't even get to see the entire festival, Alicia replied. He's right. We had to bolt before we could visit the other stalls. Try frowning. Scrunch up your brows right here, she added. Yes, that's it. Sometimes, all you need to keep people away is your facial expression. Or why don't you try spitting on the street every other step? No one would associate such boorish behavior with the firstborn son of House Diaz. Stop laughing. I'm serious, Norman Deus replied. You know, my lady, she said. What is it now? He replied. I keep forgetting the fact that I had been locked up in that spring for 10 years. At first, I was surprised to see myself letting go of that traumatic memory with such ease, but now I have an idea why. It's because you're here with me.